Okay, I'm going to show you how I am assembling the carb today. I've already got this is the back of the carburetor. This is the fuel bowl, the metering block, the main body and the base plate. So I've got the other fuel bowl off, but I've already changed the pumps on them, and this is a 50cc pump, which they normally come with 30cc. Well, anyways, there's not much to this. I will show you. I will take this back apart and then reassemble it so you can see what I did. There's not much to these. Make sure you do not lose any of these screws because, yeah, it comes with a gasket and it's got a spring with a diaphragm in it. And I'll just take it apart and show you how I did it and reassemble it. Like I said, there's not much to these. It's pretty simple. I just put it together exactly the way it was that I took it apart. See now, see the screw, I'll leave the screw in that. But you can see it's got the rubber diaphragm in it. And, well, it's been stuck on it for a little bit. But there's a spring inside it. And I put it together exactly the way I took it apart. The spring fits inside of this little cup inside the diaphragm. And you put that in there and line everything up. And then you gently, well, I say gently, you line the holes up with it on the gasket and on the fuel bowl, and just slowly, I wouldn't force any of these, just slowly snug them in, start them up. And then, you know, once you get all of them in place, you can go back and snug them up, which they don't need to be super tight anyways. But it's not real complicated to do this. Just some of the smaller stuff that I've been doing. And ATM Innovations, Doug, the tech guy, has been very helpful to me in tuning this. So this carb should be really close when I put it on the car. I mean, it's like everything. I mean, you're probably going to have to go back and fine tune. Like the four-corner idle, I took a guess at the adjustments on that, and I can show you where them are at. But like I said, I'm just snugging this up. Snugging all these up before I assemble it. Just go back through and make sure they're tight. And like I said, you don't really need to break them off in there. Just snug them up really good. So now I'm ready to, well, I've already got my gaskets installed, and they've got tabs on them, and they only go one way. For this goes to the fuel bowl. The fuel bowl goes on this side of it, and then of course your jets, and this is the side that goes to the carburetor. And yes, I'm running a plug in it, which this is the front. I don't know if I'm going to run a power valve in it. I was recommended to if I was going to run this on the street with it, which it's probably going to be run more on the street with it. So I'm just going to do a little playing around with it and see where it goes. These come off my old carb that I had converted to an E85. I just hung on to them in case I ever needed them for whatever known reason, and they worked fine. I cleaned them up and let them soak in some solvent, get them cleaned up. So they should be okay. And this only goes in one way. You put that in there and you can move it around and it won't move around. And then it's even more so when you put the bolts through it, because the bolts, as you can see, the bolt goes through the end of it. Now, the could be tricky part of putting this bowl on is you've got the arm that runs the accelerator pump. So you got to make sure when you do this, when you're assembling this, you've got to put this underneath it. And I'm trying to get it so you can see without me being everything in the way. Just get that underneath that. And everybody's opinion on that is how you want the adjustment, which I can get into that here in a little bit. It's not a big deal to me. But see, you make sure and see it's underneath here now. So when you start to move the accelerator, it'll pump fuel in. So that's, I've done it accidentally and put that on there without it, and then realized it after I tightened all the screws up. But I've got it in there now. Just take these and start them a little bit more. And you ain't got to go real crazy with it when you're first putting it together. Make sure they start real easy. And I put all of them in before I really start tightening anything down. So, and like I said, they go in pretty easy once you get this all together. Snug it down decently in the gaskets. You don't need to over tighten these because you'll crush the gaskets or just make it leak, and we're not trying to cause any problems later on down, or even at startup, or when you just start using. You snug them down really good, all four corner, and I kind of go in sequence with them. So that's what the assembled product looks like. And I made sure that, well, it won't be that side. That'll be the driver's side where you hook up the cable, throttle cable to this. I got my fuel inlets on here, and I showed you I had the floats adjusted. Four corner idle, I took a guess where they need to be, which they'll probably need to be adjusted, and you'll adjust a few little things, and I think you can adjust this. And like I said, some people like these to have a little bit of slop in the accelerator pump. This is the back fuel bowl. I like them, so whenever you crack that throttle, it's moving, it's getting fuel like that. That's personal preference. Everybody's is different. And same way with this one. So there you go. It's assembled, and I'll see you next time.